Sometimes, the greatest gift a parent can give is not money, but prayer. Mama Esther had only one daughter, Chiamaka. When the acceptance letter came for boarding school, she danced with joy. Neighbors congratulated her, saying, "Your daughter will become great." But inside, Mama Esther's heart was fear. She had heard stories children who left home innocent, but returned spoiled, careless, and broken. The night before Chiamaka left, Mama Esther knelt down, holding her daughter's hands tightly. "My child," she whispered, "never forget God. And remember, my prayers will always cover you." Chiamaka smiled, but she didn't understand the weight of those words. To her, boarding school was freedom, no mother's eyes watching, no strict rules at home. She hugged her mother quickly and thought, "At last, I can live my own life." That night, as Mama Esther prayed in tears, unseen battles were already rising against her daughter's destiny. When Chiamaka entered the boarding school compound, her eyes shone like stars. No one to tell her when to eat, sleep, or study. Seniors laughed, music blasted from hidden speakers, and girls whispered about sneaking out at night. She felt excited. "This is the life I want," she thought. At first, she tried to obey the rules, attending morning assembly, reading in the hostel. But then, a girl named Sandra befriended her. Sandra was bold, beautiful, and feared by many. She whispered to Chiamaka, "School is boring. Real life is outside these gates." The first night they sneaked out to a nearby club, Chiamaka's heart pounded. Lights flashed, music shook her bones, and strange men offered her drinks. She hesitated, but Sandra smiled and said, "Relax, this is fun." Chiamaka didn't know fun was just another word for danger. Weeks passed, and Chiamaka became Sandra's shadow. Soon, she met more girls, Kemi, Lola, and Ada. They were beautiful but wild. They skipped classes, partied with older men, and boasted of money and gifts. "Don't waste your time in class," Kemi laughed. "A man can give you in one night what a job will never give in 10 years. Chiamaka felt uncomfortable, but slowly, their words entered her heart like poison. When she resisted, Sandra mocked her. "Do you want to remain poor like your mother? Wake up, girl." One evening, Sandra handed her a flashy phone. "From a friend," she said with a wink. Chiamaka accepted, not knowing that every gift was a chain tying her deeper into darkness. Meanwhile, Mama Esther woke up at midnight, praying fiercely. Her spirit was restless, but she didn't know why. It was Friday night when Sandra dragged Chiamaka to another club. The neon lights blinded her eyes, the music was wild, and men twice her age lined up with money to spend. Sandra introduced her to a man in his 30s who bought her drinks. "Relax, babe," Sandra whispered. "This is your new life." At first, Chiamaka felt uneasy. But when the man slipped a bundle of naira into her hand just for smiling, her fear melted into excitement. "This is easy money," she thought. She danced until her legs ached, then staggered back to school before dawn, pretending to be asleep during morning roll call. By the next week, she was sneaking out almost every night. She no longer cared about classes, books, or the dreams her mother prayed for. Chiamaka didn't know each night she danced deeper into the arms of destruction. Sin is sweet at first, but bitter in the end. By day, Chiamaka wore her uniform, pretending to be the quiet, obedient student her teachers thought she was. By night, she dressed in tight clothes Sandra smuggled in, painted her face, and lived a life her mother would never recognize. The money was sweet. She bought new shoes, perfume, and flashy phones. Other students admired her, thinking she was from a rich family. But deep inside, Chiamaka felt a hole that no gift could fill. Sometimes, after clubbing, she lay on her hostel bed, staring at the ceiling. What if my mother finds out? She wondered. But the fear never lasted. Sandra always had new plans, new clubs, and new men. Meanwhile, Mama Esther grew worried. Chiamaka's calls became shorter, her voice distant. Every time she spoke, Mama Esther would whisper, "God, protect my daughter. Don't let her fall into the wrong hands." One night, after a wild party, Sandra introduced Chiamaka to a group of older men who spoke in hushed tones. They were different, serious, commanding, and their eyes glowed with greed. "Pretty girls like you are rare," one of them said, handing her an envelope of money. "But there are bigger things than just drinks and parties. Do you want real wealth?" Chiamaka hesitated. Sandra leaned close and whispered, "Say yes. This is how life changes." The men spoke of a secret society that promised riches beyond imagination. All it required was loyalty and a little sacrifice. Chiamaka felt a shiver run down her spine. "Sacrifice?" she asked. The men laughed, brushing it aside. "Don't worry, you'll understand soon." That night, she couldn't sleep. For the first time, the glitter of her new life looked like chains, but she was already too deep to walk away easily. The men invited Sandra and Chiamaka to a secluded house in the city. Expensive cars lined the compound, and inside, everything smelled of power and wealth. On the table sat red candles, strange calabashes, and a pot covered in white cloth. "This is the door to riches," one of the men said. "If you want to shine, you must pass through it." They explained that each girl had to take an oath, sealing it with blood. The promise was simple: wealth, protection, and fame. But their souls would belong to the society. Sandra clapped her hands in excitement, ready to join. Chiamaka froze. Fear gripped her heart. Something inside screamed, "Run." At that very moment, far away in her small house, Mama Esther knelt in midnight prayer, tears running down her cheeks. She cried, "Oh God, wherever my daughter is, deliver her from evil." Her words were about to fight battles Chiamaka could not see. That night, while Chiamaka stood frozen before the ritual pot, her mother was at home, restless. She had woken up suddenly, her heart pounding for no reason. She lit a candle, knelt on the bare floor, and began to pray with tears. "God, my child is far from me, but not far from you. Wherever she is, let no evil hand touch her." As she prayed, she felt a heaviness lift from her spirit, like a door being slammed shut. Back at the house, when the men urged Chiamaka to cut her finger and drop blood into the pot, her body began to shake uncontrollably. I can't do this," she stammered. One of the men frowned, anger flashing in his eyes. But another man quickly spoke. "Let her go. She is not ready." Sandra hissed at her in disappointment, but Chiamaka didn't care. She ran out, trembling, not knowing that her escape was bought with her mother's tears. Chiamaka ran into the night, her slippers falling off as she fled. Her heart raced faster than her feet. She didn't know where she was going, only that she needed to get away. A car honked loudly as she stumbled across the road. "Are you mad?" the driver shouted, but she didn't stop. She kept running until she found herself at the school gate, panting, sweaty, and terrified. Sandra didn't return with her. Chiamaka lay in bed that night, shaking. She could still hear the men's voices, the sight of the candles, the smell of blood. "What if they come after me?" she thought. Meanwhile, Mama Esther had a strange peace after her prayers. She didn't know what her daughter had faced, but she knew God had done something. That night, mother and daughter both slept with swollen eyes, one from tears of prayer, the other from tears of fear. The next morning, Chiamaka looked at her face in the mirror. Her eyes were red, her spirit weak. She thought about her mother's words before leaving home. Never forget God. My prayers will always cover you. For the first time, those words struck her heart. She had been playing with fire, and her mother's prayers had saved her from being burned alive. That day, she refused Sandra's call. When Sandra came into the hostel that night, dressed to sneak out, Chiamaka shook her head. "I'm done," she said firmly. Sandra laughed cruelly. "You'll crawl back. Without us, you are nothing." But Chiamaka walked away, her hands trembling, her heart still racing. She knew breaking free wouldn't be easy, but she also knew God had given her a second chance. And she whispered to herself, "Mama was right. Prayer is stronger than anything in this world." Chiamaka began to distance herself from Sandra and her friends. It was hard, lonely even, but she knew the price of following them was death. She started going back to class, reading at night, and even attending fellowship. At first, other students mocked her. "See who is pretending to be holy now," they laughed. But deep inside, Chiamaka felt peace returning. One evening, she called her mother, her voice trembling. "Mama, I've not been living right, but something happened. Your prayers saved me." Mama Esther wept quietly on the phone. "My daughter, God loves you. Don't waste the second chance He has given." For the first time in months, Chiamaka prayed before sleeping. Her lips shook, but her words were sincere. "Lord, thank you for not letting me die in my sin." Weeks later, news spread across the school. Sandra had gone missing after another night outing. Rumors said the men she followed demanded a sacrifice, and she never returned. Students whispered in fear. Some said she ran away. Others said she was taken by the ritualists. No one truly knew. When Chiamaka heard, she froze. A chill ran down her spine. That could have been her. Her classmates looked at her strangely, wondering why she had suddenly changed her ways before Sandra disappeared. But Chiamaka said nothing. She knew God had pulled her out just in time. That night, she cried into her pillow, whispering, "Lord, forgive her soul, and thank you for saving mine." Sandra's absence was a silent warning. The glittering path of sin always leads to darkness. Slowly, Chiamaka's life began to rebuild. She joined a small study group, attended school fellowship, and even started advising younger students. When classmates mocked her, she didn't mind. She was learning the greatest lesson of her life, that the prayers of a mother and the mercy of God are stronger than temptation. One day, while reading under a tree, she overheard juniors talking. "I want to be like Chiamaka," one said. "She is serious now. She will make her mother proud." Her heart swelled with emotion. From being lost in clubs to being admired for discipline, her story was changing. Meanwhile, Mama Esther continued praying every night. Her prayer points changed from, "Lord, protect her," to, "Lord, make her shine for you." Years passed quickly. The same Chiamaka who almost lost her life to bad influence now stood proudly on the stage, receiving her boarding school certificate. She had not only survived, she excelled. Mama Esther was in the crowd, clapping and crying at the same time. She remembered the nights of prayer, the tears, the fear, and the faith. Now, all of it was worth it. After the ceremony, Chiamaka hugged her mother tightly. "Mama," she whispered, "I was blind, but your prayers opened my eyes." Mama Esther smiled through her tears. "It was God, my child. Never forget Him." The audience may have seen just another graduation, but for that family, it was a miracle. Children may leave your house, but they cannot leave your prayers. Chiamaka's story became a living testimony. She often shared with friends how prayer saved her from destruction. She warned others about bad friends, fast money, and secret societies. Her life carried one clear message: parents, never stop praying for your children. Boarding schools may teach books, but only prayer protects destinies. Teachers may guide, but only God preserves. Mama Esther's midnight tears had built an invisible wall around her daughter, shielding her from unseen dangers. The moral was simple yet eternal. Pray before sending your child anywhere. Pray when they are far. Pray when they are near. For prayer can reach places you cannot. And so, the story ends not with sorrow, but with hope. A mother's prayer that turned tragedy into testimony.